What's up, everyone? It's your favorite storyteller, Matt D. Talford. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these videos, so I do apologize for the long hiatus, but I have been working on something that I'm excited about that I'm going to announce later in the week, but that's not why I got on here today. So I just want to have a quick chat and talk about what I think needs to become a new mantra. So if you've been watching the news or online or anything, you know what happened in Los Angeles on Sunday afternoon their time, Sunday night or Sunday evening if you're on the East Coast. But what happened with an up and coming young bright star, a young brother by the name of Nipsey Hussle. You guys know what happened there. I'm not trying to report on that. There's enough of that going on. And I'm not trying to give an opinion on what I think, none of that. This isn't what this is. What I want to say is we need a new mantra for our young people. Now, you might look at me and say, young people, well, how old are you? I've been around long enough to say young people, so let me leave it at that. Back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, there was this Stop the Violence movement. And, self-destruction. We're headed for self-destruction, I think was the late 80s, and then Stop the Violence was, maybe the mid 90s, and it just doesn't seem like anything has changed much with regards to that. So I want us to have a new mantra, and so let me go ahead and I want to use a sports term for that, because I think a lot of times when you can relate or give a relative point, it gives even more meaning or more depth to a subject. So, for those of you who watch baseball or have played it, you'll understand this, so just bear with me. For those of you that don't understand the game of baseball, I'm going to explain it. Let me start by asking a question. If you do know baseball, what is the absolute worst thing you can do when your team is at bat, you guys have one out, and you got a runner at first, and you're at the plate? What's the absolute worst thing you can do? Okay, if you've played baseball or you watch baseball, you know the game, you know the answer to that. But for those of you who don't understand baseball or don't watch it, I'm going to tell you. The absolute worst thing you can do when there is one out and you've got a runner at first base and you're at bat, the absolute worst thing you can do is hit into the double play. What does that mean? That means you hit a ground ball somewhere to the infield that should have been just a one-out play. It becomes a two-out play, and now your team is out because you already had one out. Okay? So, what is that one out? Now, some of you may find this controversial or whatever, but you know what? It affects my community, so I have to address it. A lot of people that grew up my age, you were told when you were younger, hey, listen, you can't afford to go out here and get in trouble because you've already got one strike, and that's your skin color. Okay, so you're not getting that break when it comes to, you're not getting that break perhaps that somebody else might. That was a real conversation, and whether you like it or not, if that offends you, I apologize, but that's real. So that was some of the teaching that went out to children that are back in the day that are my age now. You've already got one strike against you, and that's your skin color, so you don't get that extra break. So let's translate that strike to an out. That's your one out. Now, when you go out here and you make the decision to take the life of a young brother, young sister, somebody who's on your team, then you're hitting into the double play. Why? Because you've taken them out, and you really take yourself out. So the whole team is out now because you made a bad decision. Okay? So the worst thing, just keep that in mind, the worst absolute thing you can do when your team has one out and you got a runner at first and you're at bat is to hit into the double play. Y'all, we got to stop hitting into the double play. We have to take, when you're at that plate and you're playing baseball, ground ball to the infield is out of the that's not even an option. You've already, because you understand what could happen, you by all means, you would rather, if you're going to get out, you would rather strike out or hit or fly out to the outfield than hit a ground ball to the infield, because you don't have a chance anymore. Okay? So don't do something that is going to negatively affect you and that other person, is it worth it at the end of the day? It's not. It's not worth it. I'm sure that if you run it through your mind, you can find another option. But the first thing we got to do is we got to take that ground ball to the infield off the table as an option. What do I mean by that? Take violence off the table as an option. Stop it. Just it's time out for that. Stop hitting into the double play. That's the mantra. Don't hit into the double play. You got one out, okay? Already talked about what that is. You have one out. And you've got another brother or sister on first base, okay? When you hit into that double play, you know what you're doing? You're taking them out of this life because you've taken theirs, but you're also taking yourself out of it because you've taken away your freedom. And let's say, oh, you know what? I think I can do this and get away with it. No, you can't, because you're always looking over your shoulder. You spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder wondering, am I going to get caught by either the authorities or somebody who's down with that person? It's not worth it. It's not. There's got to be another option. And the only way for you to find that other option is to take that one off the table. Take the Bible, and I'm not trying to preach here, but the Bible says be angry, but sin not. Okay? Be angry, but sin not. It's okay to be angry, but find another way to dissipate that anger. Don't go and say, oh, you know what, man, this person pissed me off, so I'm going to get him. I don't like what he said, or I don't like what she said. I'm going to get him. You have no right. You did not create that life. It's not yours. It's not yours to take. It is not. So I'm passionate about this, y'all. Look here. And then you know what? I played baseball, okay? When you're that guy up at bat and you got one out and your team's down and you need to get on base, or you need to try to advance that other runner, and you hit into the double play, and now that retires the sides. You know what? When you go back to that dugout, even though they say, hey, man, good try, you know what? You kind of let the team down a little bit. It's a little bit disappointing. Do whatever you can to keep that inning alive. Stop hitting into the double play, folks. That's the new mantra moving forward. Don't hit into the double play. Ground ball to the infield is off. That option is off the table. Whatever you do, you got one out. Okay? You got another brother or sister at first base, all right? And it's the same for softball. If you play softball, you know this too. You got your brother or your sister on first base, and you got one out, and you're at bat. What are you going to do? I am not going to hit into the double play. I'm not going to do it. Okay? That's the mantra. Don't hit into the double play. When you decide to enact violence upon your brother or sister, you take them out and you take yourself out. And guess what? Your team at home that was relying on you to come through for whatever, now they don't have you in the game. No, you're out. You're out. And when you're out like this, you're out. There's no, your whole life changes. Either you are no longer alive, or that person's no longer alive, and you're in jail. You are now subject to the system. And you know what? Respect? Where's the respect in being behind bars with someone else controlling your time day and night? That's nothing that... Don't hit into the double play, folks. That's all I got. Don't hit into the double play. That's the mantra. Spread that. Spread that. Teach that to the young kids. Teach them, if they don't know anything else about baseball, make sure that they understand what the worst thing you can do with one out and one guy on base, one guy on first base, one out, one guy on first base, and you're at bat. Make sure they understand what the worst possible thing that you can do is, and then translate that into street terms. How does that work with regards to violence? It's the same thing. Don't hit into the double play. When you enact violence upon your brother, sister, you take them out and you take yourself out too. It's not worth it. Take that option off the table, find another one. God bless y'all, man. And rest in peace to that brother. And God bless his family. God strengthen his family and help them try to get through this. Peace.